Well, sometimes we like to throw a spanner in by having two people in a bed on one side of the recording.
And Maddie all in her own bed on the other side of the recording.
With so much room. Oh, gosh.
Well,
it is bloody nice.
I like the coziness. This is cute. It is cute.
It's quite nice. This is like our 7:30 recording's been. So, Melody, sometimes when, the week gets way on us, we have to do a 7:30 p.m. recording. And that's when I'm usually in this exact position. And God, we talk a lot of shit in our 7:30 recordings, don't we? We really do.
Like they get quite sort of manic
unhinged
and unhinged because
beautiful.
because we've just lost it. We've absolutely lost it by that time of day. But they're the best. They're the best kind. You just don't know where it's going to go.
I bet people love those ones.
Okay,
all right,
is everybody comfortable? Ready to go?
So ready.
And we've kind of got an interview plan, but like so long as we get what we get on the subject, which
so long as we get what we get, then we've got it.
Then we've got it. Right?
That should be our new tagline for Untidy. So long as we get what we get, then we've got it.
We've got it. And you get what you get, and you don't get upset.
Don't get upset. Okay, are we ready for this intro?
Ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Kia ora, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Untidy. My name is Matilda Green. I'm a mother of 3 little people and 1 little Jack Russell, and I'm crossing live to you right now from my bed, and it is, what a divine place to be to record a podcast. And I am with my equally relaxed co-host, Hannah Davison.
Who
That's
is
you.
Not in her own bed. It's me. It's me. I'm in someone else's bed. Which is very exciting. I'm the mother of 2 little people, getting bigger people, quite honestly. A bull terrier, hostage to 2 cats. I'm here with the very wonderful Melody Thomas, friend of the show.
In my bed.
In Melody's bed. I've come all the way to Wellington to get into Melody's bed. And you know what? I'll tell you this much. It's worth it.
I'm not disappointed.
Not disappointed. 10 out of 10. Lovely linen.
Yeah, we got the linens. I got the nice sheets out.
I'm liking the kind of like rust orange colour. It's very cool. Very on trend.
Thanks, Maddie. Thank you.
I like it a lot. Melody, you are the creator and host of the Good Sex Project and Bang.
Yes.
Both incredible podcasts. You're also the co-founder of Pop Sock Media, who were integral in the start of Untidy.
What a time. It was probably quite long ago now.
It feels so long ago. It was like, we're getting on for 3 years.
Wow. You have done so well, you guys.
Oh, so have you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, Maddie, let me tell you.
We're so proud of each other.
We're so proud of each other. It's cute. I'm sitting here looking at some podcast awards over on the other wall there.
Yeah. You guys have cleaned up on the awards front, haven't you? You've done bloody well.
We do well in awards. It would be nice if awards also came with finances.
Wouldn't
it?
That
would be great.
Wouldn't that be nice?
We've got a lot of acclaim.
We'd be laughing all the way.
Not much capital.
Wouldn't it be great if there was just more capital in general in podcasts?
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? We'll work on that together.
Oh, well, in the meantime, we do it for the love.
We do. Now, Melody, you've also written for Capital and Sunday Magazine. You're currently working on season 3 of the Good Sex Project. And let me tell you, just done a little interview.
Let me tell you, the guests in this season.
The guests are fantastic.
Some of your favourites will return.
We've just sat here with the Pilates partner, who actually was given a name on the Good Sex Project podcast.
Is he in the room with us right now?
No, he's gone now. We can talk about him.
Great.
It was pretty cute. Yes, the podcast isn't out till April, so you may yet do a big reveal on Untidy before that happens. Yeah, but I've seen his face, and it's cute.
Yeah,
it's a really cute face, isn't it? Yeah.
Rachel,
we love the Pilates partner.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we really do.
They were a bit grossly cute together, but aside from that.
Disgusting. Gosh, okay. Well, look, we're going well with this, aren't we? I'm all upside down because, this is not my normal routine.
We got what we got, and what we got is what we get.
And we won't get upset. Anyway, today we're going to.
And you're in someone else's bed. What's happening?
Look, we've got a very open and understanding relationship. It's all right. Now, we're diving into a controversial topic, the radical act of rest. And that now makes everything make sense for the listeners as to why we're all in bed. But this is something that feels harder than ever to give ourselves permission to do, God, particularly for women. So we're going to unpack this together. But I wanted to start with a quote that I sent you, Melody, in response to your Substack piece that you had written about rest. And this quote is by Nicola Jane Hobbs. She writes, growing up, I never knew a relaxed woman. Successful woman, yes. Productive woman, plenty. Anxious and afraid and apologetic woman, heaps of them. But relaxed woman, at ease woman. Women who don't dissect their days into half-hour slots of productivity. Women who prioritise rest and pleasure and play. Women who aren't afraid to take up space in the world. Women who give themselves unconditional permission to relax, without guilt, without apology, without feeling like they need to earn it. I'm not sure I've ever met a woman like that, but I would like to become one.
Oh, what a quote. What a quote.
Yeah, I know. I would like to become one because I'm like, I find that so hard. I call myself a guilty napper. If I take a nap, my God. Oh, wait, Maddie, you took a nap yesterday after we recorded.
Do you know what? I didn't get to it.
There? Oh my God.
Didn't get to it. Didn't get to it. Because I thought, actually, is my time best spent doing that? Because otherwise I could clear some emails that have been backing up before I pick the kids up. I know. And so, productivity got in the way. So I was like, I do have time for a little rest before I get the kids. But I think I'll feel more, I think I'll feel better if I just clear what's on my mind before I pick them up. But then I didn't get the rest, did I? Didn't listen to the body.
Did you feel better after clearing the inbox? Because it is,
I did.
It is a tough juggle.
And also, to be fair, sometimes that is actually, in a kind of capitalistic sort of way, it is an act of rest if you can clear the decks. You know what I mean?
Off your mind.
Create a bit of headspace is, in this day and age, a part of rest. If you can do that and think, now I actually have a little bit of headspace to be present and...
So did you rest after? Is that what you're telling us?
Well, I picked the kids up and then it was all on, wasn't it? But
it was off. Yeah.
It was all on feeling and old. You rested when you went to bed that night.
Yeah. I did.
Directly after the children.
But actually, I'm going to stop going on about this in a minute. But then that evening, last night, I did have time to have a little hoon on my beginner DJ decks. So, but that time would have been spent clearing my emails. So, in a way, I used the rest time to create a pocket of time to do something that I want to do that fills me with joy,
Well done.
Yep, beautiful. And I mean, that was in that quote was like play and pleasure, and those things are, things that you don't see on display or embodied as much in women or in people under capitalism. But I think in addition to that, I would say that's one of the more important things we do, especially as it's been a huge journey for me, is finding out what gives me joy and pleasure and returning to what gave me joy and pleasure when I was younger, post having kids. But the rest thing is in addition to and separate, I reckon, because for a while there, I took up watercoloring and it was giving me, I still do it. It gives me heaps of joy. That was like a process of recovery from burnout. But when I'm watercoloring, I'm not resting. It's a different thing that it's giving me. But it's not the totally tuned out, allowing my body to do absolutely nothing. And so I guess that's what we're aiming for, is to have both of those things in our lives.
The watercolor thing. Watercolor is so fun. Oh my God, I've just started, Melody. I'm obsessed.
Oh shit, here we go.
I watercolored with the kids and I was like, oh my God, guys, look at how the colors dance together. Isn't this incredible?
That's so
It is. And because I feel like as a medium, because you only have so much control over what it's going to do, it's quite it's quite a nice one to play with. You could, it kind of is always going to some degree do its own thing, which is quite nice. You can let go of control and the need for it to be perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on about watercoloring, but
hey,
but it's a different kind of rest.
Yeah, we can do that in another podcast. We can do a watercolor.
I'm so happy for you, though.
Yeah,
I didn't realize there was a watercolor movement going on. I missed the boat.
It's not too late, Hannah.
The thing that stresses me out about watercolor is that, like, once that mark is down, that mark is down. It's
Well, you can
But
do
that's
some
any
removing,
paint, though,
actually.
isn't it?
No, because like with acrylic or oil or something, you can go
over it.
over.
Oh,
Yeah, you
I
do have to
gotcha.
kind of reverse the thinking a little bit, and you can't go back to white, but there is a way to remove color.
Okay.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you
Okay,
about
all
it
right.
later.
Well, if I'm going to join the movement, I'll give you a call.
It's a wonderful
Melody,
world. It really is.
you wrote beautifully about your time at that little lodge that you bought, that you found. Wasn't it Houghton Bay? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Houghton,
yeah.
Houghton Bay. Because you found a little lodge with a sign that read, "Humans resting, do not disturb." What happened?
Yeah, so we were just hiking, I think, on a family hike, and it's a weird little lodge. There's a photo in the Substack post, and it doesn't immediately.
It's quite cute.
And it's cute. I mean, I added a cute frame to try and make it look less haunted and like you're going to be murdered there. Because I did have to push past a bit of, am I going to be murdered, when I first went there on my own overnight.
Yeah, it does give off a bit of murderous energy, but in a cute way.
A cute murder.
Cute chainsaw massacre.
Yeah. And it's like closed off with no windows on one side, so you don't know if anyone's approaching the lodge on that side, which I don't know if that's comforting or not. Anyway, it's fine. I also was watching the Hunger Games at that time, and I was like, that it's all about murder. So I found the lodge. I saw humans resting, and that just piqued my curiosity. I was like, what? And I think there was a little sign next to it that said, if you too want an escape from the world, here's the place to call. It was a landline. So I called the landline, and yeah, it's a little, I guess, like an artist's, but also open to everyone retreat where you can stay for, it's $25 or $50 a night, depending on your financial circumstances, which I loved.
Wow.
Cheap, pretty cheap either way. And I just called and made a booking. And I packed a hiking bag and filled it with delicious snacks and watercolor stuff and books, and hiked up and just had a couple of days totally on my own in the bush up there. And it was life-changing. Like quietly life-changing. I just potted around like a little bush witch, and I went for walks, and I like woke up in the morning and I was like, am I hungry? And I had a little bit of like blue cheese and crackers for breakfast because I was like,
yeah,
why not?
Yeah.
You just really follow your body. And I napped a lot. Probably there was some masturbation.
God, you take toys and just
there was
watercolor, there was
heavenly.
Masturbation. Good Lord.
There was blue cheese.
What a retreat. There was blue cheese.
Yeah, and I've since, like, the practice has
Wow.
really evolved since then. It's become like a practice, whereas before I would have just said, it's time, I need to go escape. And at that time, it really worked in our lives. I had a lot of writing I wanted to do, so we ended up actually doing every Monday night I would go and stay there on my own. I know, and it became like a midweek little oasis of calm, and the kids would be got off to school by everyone else, and I'd come home at 3 p.m. or whatever the next day. Yeah, it's...
Wow.
I'm very aware as we talk about these things that they're not accessible to everyone, so we need to address that at some point. But yeah.
But what I love is that, like,
Yeah.
like someone's understood the importance of disconnecting and resting and solitude and made it, as accessible as possible. Like $25.
I know. Her name's Alice Krebs. It's the Alice Krebs Memorial Lodge, and I've since read about her when I'm up there, and she was a conservationist who like bought that bit of land and they planted it up and then built this little lodge on there. I'm not sure if she's the one that established the like artist retreat, but she's the person who we need to give her some credit. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Like,
but even just prioritizing nature as well can be such a big part of that. That is free in a way, like it still does take time. But I mean, if there is a way that you can prioritize solitude in nature on a weekly basis, whatever that looks like, maybe it's when the kids are at school and you've got a morning or whatever, instead of being like, okay, great, I've got a couple of hours to tidy the house and do the washing, think, no, I've got a couple of hours to go into nature and be by myself and just listen to the birds and sit down, just sit the fuck down with some trees.
Sit the fuck down and don't look at a screen and just have... Yeah. I had a period recently where I was on a walk listening to a podcast and then my headphones died and I was left with my own brain. And it was amazing. Like, I just realized how little of my life, this was probably a year ago, how little of my life, at least at that point, was spent without somebody else's voice or music or something drilling into my brain. Yeah, and just the things that come from, especially I think when you're walking and there's momentum, or as you say, nature, like the ideas and the insights, and gosh, I think we've gotten quite good at tuning out that inner narrative that is really important.
Yeah, and because like sometimes, because I took myself away, actually just before Pilates partner entered my life, and I was having a little in-between ending of a thing just before another thing started, as it turned out. But I took myself away for a weekend in Gloria, my caravan, on my own to Lake Brunner. I had the best time ever. And I spent so much time in nature, so much time on my own. And I actually did this huge hike up this mountain. I must have been gone for about 8 hours or something. And I took my headphones with me. I never used them. I actually just like processed a whole lot of stuff that I just needed to kind of work through and process in my brain. And I felt my feelings.
Had a little cry on the mountain.
Had a little cry. I talked to myself. I was like, I just had
bit of Max Richter.
Like,
Melody knows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she knows. So that's another. We can come back to that.
Oh god, okay. But honestly,
That's another weeping time.
Yeah, that's the weeping time. That's setting aside weeping time. That's for. Do you do that as well, Matilda? Is that why we've talked about this? I'm a Capricorn who can't feel my feelings, so I have to set aside time. And put music on that makes me cry to feel my feelings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have talked about our habits of weeping to Max Richter, just in kind of a nature setting. I've done a little bit of that too. But that's what, just like another side thing. But, like that's what music is for. Like it helps us feel our feeling more intensely, whatever it is, like whether we're sad or we're happy or joyful or whatever. And then we can play music that's going to reflect that, and it helps us feel it. It's just incredible. So
we should share some weeping playlists at some point as well.
We should. Do you have one?
I've got a weeping playlist.
Okay, we'll pop it in the show notes.
I think Matilda's probably got one too.
Yes,
there's probably some crossover.
Yeah, I do.
If anyone needs to draw out a good cry.
Yes, all our weeping songs will be added to the show notes.
Beautiful. As you were talking, Matilda, about being alone in the bush, something also occurred to me, which I think in the lead up to this, a couple of years earlier, I'd done a lot of work around being comfortable being alone, that I don't think I would have got into active rest, nesting, doing all these things on my own if I hadn't first done that. And I'm not going to get into it too much now, but it was through a process of I got really burnt out and then had to recover. And part of that recovery process was this book/creativity course called The Artist's Way.
I've heard about this.
So there's a practice in there. I won't go into that too much, but there's a practice in there called Artist Dates, where you take yourself off on a solo date, something that fills your well every week. And it warns you about how you are going to undermine yourself by inviting people on these dates with you. And I noticed myself doing it. I'd be going to a gallery to just kind of like soak things up, or going for a walk along the beach, and then I'd be like, just reach out to a friend. Hey, do you want to come with me? And I think the aloneness is a big part of not necessarily rest, but definitely it's a big part of, I think, it's something that we need to get comfortable with, I guess. Yeah. And I've definitely found a lot of benefits from it, and I love to be alone now, whereas a few years ago I reckon I would have been a bit freaked out by it, to be honest.
Really? Yeah. Antiquing alone.
Oh my God, she'd be lethal. Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to be unsupervised?
I do have to get it checked off occasionally and just say, look, I'm going to have a morning where I'm going to get a flat white and I'm going to go antiquing and I'm going to be alone and you're not allowed to come. And then Art's like, okay, like, what are you going to get? And I'm like, I don't know. That's the beauty of it. I'm going to go and just see what's there.
Find. Melody, in your piece, you talked about like a familiar guilt that, about taking yourself away to rest, but your husband and your business partner actually encourage you to go away and do it. So why do you think it feels kind of like a guilty pleasure or selfish to rest, and how can we get past it?
Yes, well, I think the idea of feeling guilty about taking time to yourself and to just lie the fuck down is something that probably everybody listening will relate to. We're going to do a very short little history here because I have to make sure I'm crediting the people who are at the foundation of the radical rest movement. So just briefly, like, we all know what hustle culture is. We're all pretty deeply embedded in it, but we weren't always here. So back in the day, during the Industrial Revolution, productivity was like a collective act. It was something we all did together to maximize output. Everyone had to contribute. But then in the 1940s, people started moving into like office jobs, and expectations around productivity became more individualized. So what that means is that we were, rewarded for our individual inputs, and increasingly our self-worth became tied to what we could do individually, what we could accomplish individually. So over time, that has turned into what we now know as hustle and grind culture, where, not only do you have your main hustle, but also your side hustle, and downtime has become a luxury that we feel we need to earn. There's a really amazing quote from an author and activist called Adrienne Marie Brown, who is a great follow on Instagram. She's funny and inspiring and very intelligent. She calls it one of the unnatural mythologies of capitalism, which is that idea that we have to earn our rest time. So what it looks like is that we have a day off work that becomes actually a day of chores or emails. We have a sick day that becomes a working from bed day, a family holiday that ends up more exhausting than restful, and the idea of truly taking time to rest, and which the definition of rest is to be free from activity or labor, feels impossible, where even thinking about it sends you into that guilt spiral. So it's not you individually that is broken when you fall down the guilt rabbit hole thinking about rest. It is like historically and systemically you are being sent to that place by this world that we live in. So
yeah, it's
Yeah, there you
interesting.
go.
Well, there's often that narrative around like you're wasting the day if you're resting, however that looks like for you. Maybe you're just reading a book or you're having a sleep in or whatever. It's like you're wasting the day. And I don't know where that comes from, because it's like, but I'm enjoying myself. So if I'm enjoying myself, how is that in any way wasting a day,
Because you're not being productive. You're not being a productive servant to capitalism is where that idea comes from. And I know that sounds like a big grand idea, but that is it. The same reason I would get up at 8 a.m. when I was staying with my grandparents, and my granddad would be like, "Good afternoon."
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember
God.
I just like we were talking about that, and I just remembered like when I stayed with my aunt and uncle in Scotland, and like my uncle was just like a ferocious worker, and he'd give me so much shit for getting up late and be like, "You can sleep when you're dead,"
You can sleep when you're dead.
Yeah.
Like
I want to sleep now.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm tired and I want to sleep now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think self-worth and productivity, when I hit, I had an extreme burnout period over COVID where I couldn't even face the idea of walking. I had this recurring image of wanting to crawl under the roots of a tree and burrow and not leave. And it was all tied into self-worth around work. I had a project fall through. I just had this feeling of like, who am I if I'm not Melody Thomas who does this work? And it's so fucked to even think about myself in that objective from the outside way in, but that's how I was living my life. And it took me it was a really long and slow process to return to myself and get back to like who I am, to my friends, to my family, within my home life and my community, and to bring it back to that kind of smaller scale and not have my self-worth tied to what I can produce.
Yeah, that's so true, because it can be really hard to see the difference as well, because when you say we should be defined by who we are, not what we do, but then we want to define it. Naturally, I think we want to define that and think, because I can define my work and that's really obvious, but then how do I define myself? And then if it's like, even if somebody said to me, I don't want to know what you do, I want to know who you are, I would still think hobbies. You know what I mean? Like, it's still just another type of output. I would probably think I really like
watercolorist.
to read, and I really like watercoloring, and I like creating craft projects, really shit ones, basically. But it's still a kind of output. So, like, how do we even define who we are? Do we need
Why
to?
do we? Why do we define who we are? Because isn't that just so other people can like place us? You know, so we give them some context to understand who we are? Or are we just not bothering to sort of find out of our own accord who people are?
Well, getting
to know them.
Even this is getting real meta, but even internally though, like, don't you want to know that yourself? Not within a conversation of like, hey, who are you? What do you do? But I reckon at the point of my real burnout, I couldn't have even answered to myself, who are you? Without referring to what I do.
Yeah. Without having those strongholds of the handholds of life of, you know, I have this is the part where I'm part of this family, or I'm a mother and I work in this area with this person and I create these things, and sometimes I go to this place and I like to do downward facing dog, whatever.
Yes. Yeah, and I think as well, like, part of the trickiness of doing the exercise of who am I without what, you know, I am who I am, not what I do, is that you then have to, there were ways in which I wasn't who I wanted to be. I was so busy trying to make work, and I still do this, and that's part of the overwhelm of living in this world, is I neglect relationships and friendships, and I don't reply to texts. And so part of that, you know, it can be a bit of a painful exercise to look at who am I, because you might find that you're actually falling short in some of the things that you aspire to. So yeah, and the world doesn't help us, I think, and it doesn't exactly carve out space for us to be present in our relationships. And
No. I mean, and I think that's a tricky thing, is that, like, you know, a lot of these things exist because, like, we've got to survive in this world that's very demanding of our resources to survive in. You know, it feels like there's often so little space where you can actually just disconnect from all the stuff that's keeping you busy and tied up and not available to reply to texts, because you're like, well, if I stop moving, you know, it's almost like you've got to stay ahead of this thing that's chasing you down and costing you money.
Kauai, that's life.
Yeah.
That's how you just defined life as, like, running till you die and can finally rest. Well, that's where the radical part comes from.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be the notion of rest shouldn't be radical, shouldn't be controversial. But the reason the word radical is in there is because this idea comes from, you know, Black feminist traditions, from abolitionist and transformative justice roots. It's being led a lot now by the disabled community, because we live in a system that profits from our exhaustion, and so it is radical and an act of resistance to stop and to rest. And not only is it a radical act of resistance, but it sustains our capacity to, like, do the things we want to do and fight the fights we need to fight. Black poet, essayist, icon, feminist Audre Lorde said, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare."
I love that. What do you think she means by political warfare?
Well, I think as a Black feminist especially, like, rest is especially important for people whose bodies have historically been exploited. And that's going to be people of colour, disabled people, women, caregivers, the poor. So within that framework where the exploitation of your body is, you know, an expectation and a historical precedent, then it is a political act. It's political warfare to be like, no, I am stopping and I am caring for this body. I'm removing it from that system.
Yeah.
And looking after myself. Yeah.
And just back to your point, Melody, when you were talking about the friendship thing as well, how replying to texts and nurturing those friendships, I'm really shit at that. I know that I can sometimes be a bit of a shit friend. Like, when we're together, gung-ho, you know, I'm there. But I know that I can be pretty average on the friend comms and prioritizing that.
Same. Hard relate.
But I also think some of it is because I think deep down I'm a very restful person. Like, I am like an indoor cat who I do love I do love like a good just lounge. And I think left to my own devices, if I didn't have responsibilities, try and get me to not rest. You know what I mean? Like, that is kind of my natural state. But then because life is just so full with, as you're saying, hustling, kids, trying to make money, all of this stuff, that any minute that I have, I don't want to, it's my first thought isn't I should check in with friends and prioritize my friendships. Like, my first thought is I want to be alone, or like I want to have that downtime. So it's really hard, isn't it? Like, we're trying to prioritize rest, but we're also trying to prioritize nurturing those relationships with people that we love and care about. But sometimes there's just not space for them all.
Yeah. For me, it's like a constant trying to keep the overwhelm at bay. Like overwhelmed by, don't start me on this fucking school notifications.
Oh my God.
You hate the school notifications, eh? She's on a vendetta against them.
Oh, they are the
We've
worst.
got 2 different schools now too,
Same.
with 2 different systems.
Oh God.
It's the pets. I don't know what they think we fucking do all day.
I know.
Just sitting there waiting for the hockey draw to come in.
I just ignore them. I just ignore it all, and then I'm like, oh, it's school camp week.
Is it? Yeah. Did you need something?
Yeah. And that mostly works.
But do you know what it is helping the kids to do is to become like quite responsible about like, okay, mum, there is a sausage sizzle on Friday. We need, like I have hockey this afternoon. You do? Okay. Or like they get in the car and I'm like, no, I need you to know I'm once again behind on the school notifications. What do we need to know that's happening this week? And they are actually becoming more self-sufficient.
So it's great
and
parenting is what I'm hearing.
Take your hands off the wheel, ignore the notifications.
Parent yourselves.
And you'll be okay. Parent yourselves. I remember the good old days at my primary school. On a Friday, we'd get sent home with 1 A4 sheet of printed school notifications for our parents.
And that was it?
That was the school newsletter.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. If it cannot fit on one A4 sheet of paper.
Do we need to know about it?
I don't.
It's too many.
I don't want to know. But I feel like I'm constantly just trying to keep the overwhelm of everything at bay. And so like I do feel like a shit friend because I'm like I've just got everything coming at me, and then I feel like I can't get to there. I've got nothing left, and then I feel like I can't like sort of go above and beyond the urgent stuff to do do you know what? I really want to check in on that person, or I want to take them something, or I want to hang out with that person. And that's
yes. I was just babbling.
I was just blathering.
No, but I think, one of the takeaways here is that all 3 of us have just related to the experience of, I feel like a shit friend, I feel overwhelmed. For me, it's a lot of, and I suspect you as well, overwhelm in the face of digital comms. Like the overwhelming inboxes, Messenger, WhatsApp, like just the sheer volume of stuff that is there.
Of coming in.
I don't think that is the kind of true friend connection that we even need to be focusing on. I don't think it's even... So something I did last year that really helped, I think, with my relationships and friendships and my sense of overwhelm was that I need to go back to it. Again, it might not be available to everyone, but I basically stopped planning things. So I started leaving weekends open and stopped packing my weekends full of stuff, and told my friends that what I wanted was impromptu hangs. So if on a Saturday they wanted to go for a walk, they text me on that day, and then I get to go, you know what, that's exactly what I fucking want. Ooh. And we go for a walk. Or, hey, do you want to go to a movie this afternoon? Yes, because guess what? I've got the time. I've left the time free to check in with my body and then decide what I want to do, and whether that's alone time or connecting with my friends. That was huge. That was
cool.
Al Hunt wrote an article about that for The Guardian, and that gave me that idea. So
I love that.
I love that so much.
Yeah. We had an accidental...
We're so overscheduled. It's too much.
Yeah. Oh, it is too much. And then because then sometimes you schedule it when you're into the idea, and then you get to the time and you're like, I'm not into it anymore. I'm tired. We had an accidental double date one night because we were like going to go out to a movie, and we got to the movie, and then another friend and his girlfriend were there, and we were like, fancy seeing you guys. So we will watch the movie in our own little spaces, and then like, should we go for dinner? And then so we went for dinner. Like, we couldn't have organised that if we had tried.
Exactly.
We're like, oh, can't that weekend,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freeing up the space for it to happen more naturally.
What do you notice in yourself?
On spontaneity, I saw this post on Instagram, which I loved so much. And it was basically about how we have become so kind of obsessed with our environment being perfect that we have lost the spontaneity, and with that, the community that comes with that. So I'm going to read it out, and I'm just going to see what you guys think. Everyone wants a village, but no one wants to be a villager. That means people want a strong community for support, but they're not willing to put in the effort and sacrifice required to be a part of it. Being annoyed is the price we pay for connection and community. It can mean sharing space when it's inconvenient, showing up when you'd rather stay home, or hosting when you're tired. Somewhere along the way, our fear of discomfort turned into hyper-independence, strict boundaries, perfect routines, and no interruptions. But when our boundaries become too rigid, they stop protecting us and start isolating us, and they become walls. And we wonder why we feel so lonely. We're paying for convenience with disconnection. We traded the messiness of community for the ease of solitude and lost something vital along the way.
Shit,
I
yeah.
kind of love it. Because
I've been quoting the price of community is inconvenience lately. Maybe from that post, Matilda. Yes, continue.
It's so true, isn't it? Because I think we crave solitude because we don't get it, but then at the same time we're so perfectly planned, and our boundaries, as this woman mentioned, are so rigid that we've lost all of that spontaneity and joy, like just popping round to someone's house, or coming over unannounced.
I love a pop around. I love a pop
Me
in.
too.
I pop in. I pop in. I know the people I can pop in on. You know, I don't just pop in on anyone. But
and it's quite controversial these days.
I encourage a pop in. Yeah, I mean, we need to get good at being like, oh, now's not actually a good time, but also recognizing when actually maybe there is something, it feels a bit inconvenient, but you know what, let's have a cuppa, and maybe I think that is so spot on. There's a lot of I think a lot of our connection that we have nowadays feels really superficial. It's checking in via text or following them on Instagram so you know what's happening in their life, or on Facebook or whatever.
Or group chats.
But those little pop-ins, which seem so silly, or those little minor inconveniences that feel small, I think actually have a huge impact in terms of making us feel like woven in to community. Yeah.
Definitely.
Huge.
100%.
With your rest revolution, how do you think that has changed you as a person, as a mother, as a business partner, your creativity?
I think I am an annoying business partner to Kirsten. You know Kirsten. She is encouraging, and she's trying so hard to be like, yes, you rest. But she's also I was going to say millennial, but she's not. She's Gen X. She works so hard. I work hard, but I know when I also enforce those boundaries and say I'm not working today. That is not necessarily in her lexicon. So we have it's an ongoing conversation, that one. But I also would not have enforced those boundaries a year ago. I wouldn't have, what it looks like is now when someone texts me on Sunday about something for my newsletter, and I said, I don't do mahi on weekends, but I'll get back to you on Monday. So it looks like that. I think I am generally a more calm person. I think I have more attention and energy for my children and for my husband and for my work. Right now it's a Tuesday, and I know we're time locking now, and anyway, in a few days we're going.
Could be any Tuesday.
Nesting. It could be any Tuesday.
They happen every week. They'll keep making them.
On Friday I'm going nesting with a friend, which is this rest. What's the word? Now the coffee's hitting my veins, and the coffee in the recline, it's all going to the brain.
It's good.
Is it like a protocol?
It's a practice. It's not a protocol. Although I'm
getting corporate. I'm getting capitalist on it.
The resting protocol of nesting. We're doing that in a few days, and not only will I come back with much more patience and energy for family and work, but right now I am just meditating on that weekend. And for the past couple of months, if I'm stressed, I think about that weekend. If I am, feeling overwhelmed, it becomes this little beacon and this little, again, like an oasis or an island where I'm like, I can deal with this because I have that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become actually essential. So this is, one of the resting practices is nesting, and we do it every 3 months. It's something that our partners are fully on board with. They hold down the home fort while we go and take 3 days to do nothing. And it's become something that I don't even know how I would cope without. Yeah.
So is that essentially what it is? You guys just go somewhere and do nothing, or is there more to it?
So what we do is, this happened very organically. We were on Kapiti Island having a cute overnight adventure it was work but also fun, and then we got evacuated because there was bad weather warning coming in, and we went to my family batch, or Patty's family batch, which is in Te Horo up the Kapiti coast, and we just ended up making these kind of blanket nests that we burrowed into, and we read for 8 hours straight without stopping.
Look at Maddie's face.
That
is the dream.
Oh my gosh.
And when we got hungry, we just made a platter. We didn't cook. Yeah. We just chucked some yummy stuff on a platter and then put it next to our nest and just nibbled until we eventually went off to bed. And that's where it was born. And so now what nesting looks like is we show up we get out of town as early as we can, and we get to the batch, and we kind of just we nest, we settle in. So we build the blanket nests, we get out the oils, we unload all the amazing foods into the fridge. There's a lot of really amazing nutrition that happens accidentally through the platters, and through in winter we'll make a really amazing soup, or in some or a curry, or so it's
oh, she's coming.
She's
going to come.
Oh my God, Melody.
You could do it.
She's where do we meet? When are we leaving?
We can never have soup because there's no protein. I hate living in this house sometimes.
I'm trying to think now. A chicken soup has protein, or you can add
not
a
enough.
tofu to a soup.
Not enough.
Not enough.
No. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well,
God, that sounds magic. Okay.
For the nesting, and then we just. So what do? We read. There's a lot of reading. We just have stacks of books, including poetry and short stories, so we can kind of just snack on the books. The place where we nest is in a sunny window, so we'll just lie there all day, kind of half dozing off, reading. We'll go for a walk. There's a local bus cafe that's just a glorious garden where you just settle in under a tree for a couple of hours of, guess what, more reading, maybe some journaling if you're feeling like being productive. And then accidentally we also started, there's kind of a horny movie theme that's crept into nesting. I showed so this is for Natalie, who listens to your podcast, who will be, shout out Natty, loves Untidy. I had to show her on that first night Magic Mike XXL, which is Magic Mike 2, to skip the first one. Second one is a feminist cinema masterpiece, and from there we've just kind of kept up the theme of we lie back and put movies on a projector, and it gets to night and we watch movies, and sometimes we have a little drink or a little gummy, and that's where the naughty part comes in, and then we sleep and do it again the next day.
Oh my God, it sounds so
for 2 to 3 days. That's what we do.
It sounds amazing. I'm limbering up my fingers about to get into my group chat with my girlfriends, being like, hello, here's what we need to do. We need to lock this in.
Good.
ASAP.
We are very compatible. There's not much, we talk, but there's also a lot of not talking. I feel like the active resters, I don't know how nesting would go with an active rester. I haven't tried it. Kirsten, I've talked to her about it. She's like, I could not just lie around doing nothing.
You've got to choose your nester.
I think you've got to choose your fellow nester or nesters, and say this is kind of what we're going for. And
there's another term I'd like to introduce to the chat. When we were away in India last year, my roommate, shout out Kate, we developed this term called fuck around time, which you can also call fat. So we just offer a bit of fat, so every day there'd be some sort of, we'd be doing all the activity stuff that we were doing in India. And then there'd be sort of a bit of break time. We're like, a bit of fuck around time. There's definitely a bit of fuck around time. We just lie on the bed and just do whatever, read. There's a bit of fucking around on the phone as well. But And then we're like,
and you can fuck around on your phone for bits. Like we're there for 3 days. There's definitely some fucking around on the phone for sure.
yeah. But just the lying
minimal.
down was so good. And then recently I was on a girls' weekend. There was some activity. We rode horses. We went sauntering.
Nice.
Chased a Frenchman who was the guide. We didn't mind following him at all.
That's
anyway,
different fuck around time.
Different fuck around time. And then I was like, okay, so Sunday morning we've got the sauna and then we'll eat. I said, after that, fuck around time.
Yeah.
Let's plan nothing. Let's lie down. We'll eat cheese. We'll read books. We don't want to be interrupted. And we're like, but we had to build that in.
Yeah. You do. You have to ring fence it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people will struggle with, when I'm talking about this, I really feel for people who will find this an impossibility in their lives, who don't have supportive partners, don't have partners to hold down the home fort, there's smaller ways to carve out bits of radical rest.
How do you snack on it?
There's snacky ways, like getting your cup of tea in the morning and sitting outside for 5 minutes with the sun on your face. Like there's gorgeous little, and resisting the pull of your phone. There's lots of a bath. God, a bath with candles. I put on, probably we're going to overlap here, Matilda, if not now, then after when you go and do it. I put on all the candles, put on the bath. I will eat a gummy. You don't need to do that. That's not compulsory. And then
I might.
Just
optional gummy.
And then I just belt out amazing sing-along songs for like an hour. I just sing at the top of my lungs in our beautifully acoustic bathroom. So there's there's ways to snack.
My mother-in-law said to me recently, actually, because we were on holiday with her, and she was telling me about when her kids were little Art and little Emily. She would drop them off in the morning, and then her little routine was like when they went to, preschool or school or whatever, she would drop them off and she would walk. So she would walk, drop them off, grab a paper on the way home, come home, make a cup of tea, read the paper and do the crossword. And it reminded me how phones and devices have just really entrenched themselves into those little moments of routine, and they just steal it. And so I bought myself it's this like puzzles for adults book, and I'm just determined. Anytime I've got a little minute and I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and have a good scroll, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my mindful moments book out and do it into a puzzle. But do you know what is also confronting is that, God, I'm a dumbass when it comes to crosswords. I'm like, how do people fucking do
these?
Oh my God,
I know.
I can't do the
what
cryptic
about a cryptic?
ones.
Jesus Christ.
No.
No, that's so far above me. I'm not even gonna attempt that because I feel more than
There's
stupid.
a website called 1 Minute Cryptic, which slowly teaches you how to do the cryptics cryptic a day. I'll Google it anyway. It doesn't matter
because you've just got to train yourself.
I'm the same, and I'm a good word person. Can't do. I think it's patience though, right? Like I see, and I'm like, I can't do that, so I'm just like fuck, and then I'm just like fuck it all.
Fuck off.
Fuck the thing.
Do you know what? I'll read a book.
Crosswords.
Yeah, like a book doesn't require anything of us. It's just like I don't have to think. Well, I do actually, as you know, Bean, I'm very active when it comes to reading books. But anyway, right. So we've covered that. Did you have a question, Bean? Because I feel like we just keep talking at the same time.
I know. Okay, so if you could reframe how we talk about doing nothing, what would you say instead?
Well, how do we talk about doing nothing? We talk about doing nothing as a waste of time or as like you're lazy. I would like to reframe doing nothing as an essential human need, especially in a really busy and demanding world, that will allow you to recalibrate, re-energize, take on the things that you need to in your life. Without rest, your body's going to enforce rest at some point, whether it be with burnout or illness, or if you don't take that early on. So I would say it is not a luxury, it is a necessity, and it is something that you deserve and should, if you in whatever ways you can, make time to carve that out for yourself. You deserve it.
Oh, I love that so much. And I guess that also applies to communicating with partners about it too, because I'm just applying it to our life. Art is, oh God, you couldn't pay him to rest. He's always all go. He's an active relaxer, and I know that he feels really guilty if he's not achieving something. And
does he get tired? I get so tired. I get exhausted all the time. Like, why isn't he tired?
I think the active relaxers, that is their relaxation, though. I don't think I'm that. But is he like that? Like, it is a relaxation process for him being active in some ways?
Yeah, I think so. And he's explained it to me before because, he prioritizes exercise and gym and stuff, obviously. And like I've said to him a few times, I'm like, why don't you, like when he's tired or whatever, I'm like, why don't you just have a rest for a few days? Just take that time to just chill out and do nothing. And he explains it like he has to feel like he is improving or moving in a direction every day. And so when he doesn't work out, or when he's not ticking things off a list, or when he isn't not doing that, he feels stagnant, and that makes him anxious. And and I found that really interesting, because I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't feel that way, and I do need rest. So it's kind of like communicating the different needs and understanding your different ways of recharging as well, because whether you're extroverted or introverted, those are all very different, aren't they, with what gives you energy.
I do feel like there's something in that potentially for him to pick apart, though. If he feels like he is not, if he gets anxiety from not feeling like he's progressing or moving forward, then, sorry to do this to you, Art, but I feel like there could be something to look at in there, because there's going to be times in your life when you cannot progress or cannot move forward. You get sick, you get burnt out, any of those things. If your self-worth is tied into your ability to be constantly progressing, constantly moving forward, then I think that's going to potentially be an issue. And I would also say that, like, learning to do this for yourself is it is progression. Actually, it is enlightenment. Like, there's ways to frame it, so it is something to. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like you. I'm a cat. Like, please just lie me down and stroke me,
rub my belly.
Yeah.
It's probably given the opportunity,
maybe a bit easier for us. Yeah.
And I think, like, we should be able to encourage the people around us, friends, partners, business partners. Actually, like, we will do this in our team. Be like, do you know what? Why don't you not work this afternoon? Like, you're tired. Why don't you go and get your meditation, go and take a nap? Like, just go, because we don't want anyone burning out, not because we're afraid of them not being productive, but you don't want to see the people that you care about suffering. Like, we also need to be giving, like, encouragement and permission to, I think, the people around us as well, that this is a worthwhile thing to do.
And now we just need more workplaces to do that, because we're lucky that we have a workplace that's very small and we're all mums and we are all very like-minded. But we need more workplaces to understand the need for rest, instead of just wanting more.
Which even, like, let's frame it momentarily like we are, capitalist barons who are wanting to get the maximum output from our millions of worker ants. You're not going to get anything from them if they're burnt out. Like, in terms of a productivity, you are better served by encouraging your workers to take the rest they need so that they can work for more years and produce higher quality work. Like, even through that kind of more cynical lens, it makes sense.
And be more enjoyable to
rest.
work with. There are so many. There are so many aspects. Where can people read your Substack piece, The Radical Act of Lying the Fuck Down?
It's on, what is my Substack? It's called Truly Melody Deeply. It's a Savage Garden, nod to Savage Garden, Truly Madly Deeply. You might remember that.
We'll
amazing
put the link
song.
in the show notes.
I got it.
Yeah. So yeah, you can subscribe on there. But what's interesting, so I set up that newsletter. It's so fun. I love it a lot. But then I've started working on Good Sex Project, and it's become this thing where I'm like, oh my God, I must be doing a weekly newsletter. And I've really embraced, very recently, I've just paused all paid subscriptions, so I don't feel like I'm letting any paid subscribers down, and it's very sporadic currently, where I just can post when I feel like it, and
perfect.
I think that's okay.
I think that's great. So, as one more question I want to ask, because, like, when I shared with you that the
Amazing
Nicola Hobbs quote, And, you've said that, you think that a few years ago you would have struggled with that, but now you think that you've got it. I want to ask you about, like, now your kids are seeing you prioritizing your rest and your nest. What impact do you think that that is having on them?
I really am very aware of the impact that I am hopeful it is having on them. And I think we've always been a bit this way inclined. Like, I see when it comes to activities for the kids after schools, I've never wanted them to be overscheduled. I've always been like, why are we training our kids to be little busy adults when they are still children? So there's always been a degree of, we don't take on too much, we leave space for things to naturally happen and for you to be on your own. But I hope that seeing me taking that space for myself will, obviously, modeling is the best thing we can do for our kids. So hopefully they're growing up in a household where it's just natural and normal that you take the time you need to rest and re-energize. They're also like, they come in and it looks good. I'm like reading a book. I've probably got a kitten on me at the moment. Like, it looks appealing to them, the doing nothing. So I hope that I'm teaching them to prioritize their needs and to check in with their body and be more embodied than I have been, to be honest, over my life. But the other part of that quote that I really loved, that I really hope and feel I am instilling in my children, like, it wasn't just about rest, it was also about play and pleasure. And I think they see me go out to mini raves. There's this all women mini rave that's coming up soon called Party Girl. It's the best thing in the world. They see me do that and then jump in the ocean at midnight. They see me go to my full moon saunas with my women friends. They see me paint. They see, I feel like I am a person who is modeling the act of living this life that we are given, and rest is a part of making sure I have the energy to do that. So I hope that has a huge impact on them. I feel like it should do, and I just have to keep it up.
Oh, I think it's so beautiful. And I'm really conscious of it as well, of what I'm showing my children, because I feel like I'm constantly busy and then don't stop to like play with them and stuff like that. So on the weekend, we like went and did a whole lot of playful things, and apparently it still wasn't enough. But, I try. And I do think, God, they need to see me lying down sometimes, like just chilling out, or like we all nest together with our books and stuff like that. And that was actually a really beautiful moment. We went away together in the caravan and we all were on our own little bed reading, and it was pouring with rain outside, and I'm like, this is
the life.
This really is.
This is the life.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, Melody, thank you so much.
Can I say one quick thing?
You can say whatever you like.
If you're someone who does have resource in your life to do these things, that's amazing. Do the things. But I also, if you have someone in your life who is disabled, is a solo parent, is someone who would find something like this impossible, and you have the resource to take their kids for a couple of hours and to insist that they do nothing or fuck around, then I think that's the other part of it. And that's the price of community being inconvenience. We show up for people, and if you have the power to do that for people in your life, then I encourage you to do that.
Beautiful. Hey, Melody, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
And
nap time.
It's nap time. Honestly, I could just curl up right now, like, get me a kitten. Get me that kitten.
We'll get the kitten.
We'll get the kitten.
Poor baby.
But where can people find you, and where can they find your show?
Yeah, so if you haven't heard the Good Sex Project, then there's a couple of seasons you can go listen to.
So good.
Might have some familiar voices might hear a familiar voice on there. On Substack, there's some inspiring, restful, and sex positive and pop culture type stuff.
Yeah, horny movies.
Yeah, just, follow me on the things. You'll find the links. Follow Instagram, Melody Rules, then follow the link tree.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Melody. All right, everybody, take care out there. Hey, get some rest. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Untidy. If you enjoyed it, we'd love your support to keep making the show. The best thing you can do to help is subscribe by hitting follow in your podcast app and leaving us a little 5-star review. You can also now watch and subscribe on YouTube and check out how these millennials are keeping up with the cool kids on TikTok and the gram. Lastly, please share this podcast with your mates. It means that we can keep building this supportive community, keep giving you untidy episodes, and just keep doing what we love to do.
Don't forget to check out mybigmoments.com for kids' books that make your tricky job of parenting a whole lot easier. Untidy listeners get a discount at checkout, so just pop in Untidy for 10% off your order. Lastly, we would like to thank all of the good people who make this podcast possible. Flicker Williams and Joe Rocker at My Big Moments for the beautiful artwork and design, Maxine London Creative for editing this episode, and Lana Byrne for creating our social content. And to you, our listeners, Araha nui, take care. We'll see you soon.